Autumn in Boston was a beautiful season, with the gradient of fallen leaves visible from the library window. Melissa Johnson carefully returned books to the shelves while glancing at her watch. Her shift was almost over. Today, her sister Amy was coming for dinner with her daughter Lily. "Melissa, you can go now. I'll take care of the rest," her colleague Janet kindly offered. Melissa returned a grateful smile and quickly gathered her things. Her job as a librarian at the Boston Central Library perfectly suited her personality. Being neat and orderly and preferring quiet environments, she felt comfortable in a space surrounded by books. When she arrived home, her husband Brian's car was parked at the entrance. He had come home early, which was unusual. "I'm home," she called out. Entering the living room, she found Brian focused on his laptop. As a department head at an architectural firm, he was always busy with work. When he looked up, a smile appeared in his tired eyes. "Welcome back. What time are Amy and her family coming again?" 7 o'clock. "We still have an hour." Melissa headed to the kitchen and began preparing dinner. She and Brian had met in college and married shortly after graduation. After 10 years together, they still had no children. Melissa wanted children, but Brian always postponed it, saying, "Let's wait until my career is more stable." The doorbell rang, and when Melissa answered, there stood her sister Amy. She was holding 8-month-old Lily in one arm and carrying a large tote bag in the other. "Finally made it." The traffic was terrible, Amy breezed into the house. Unlike Melissa, she had a flashy fashion sense and a bright personality. She lived freely as a freelance graphic designer. "Lily, it's your auntie," Melissa reached out to the baby. Lily blinked her big blue eyes, gazing at Melissa. "Here, hold her," Amy handed her daughter to Melissa. Amy only vaguely mentioned that Lily's father had gone abroad. The family had an unspoken agreement not to pry further. "Amy, it's been a while," Brian emerged from the living room to greet her. Melissa noticed that Brian and Amy briefly made eye contact before quickly looking away, but she didn't think much of it. During dinner, Amy enthusiastically talked about her recent design work. They also discussed their parents, George and Eleanor, confirming plans for the regular family dinner this weekend. "Mom and Dad still favor Amy," Melissa said somewhat sarcastically as she cleared the dishes. Since childhood, their parents had doted on the active, sociable Amy, often neglecting the quiet, introverted Melissa. Even as adults, that subtle difference remained. "That's not true," Amy laughed but said nothing more. When Lily started getting sleepy, Amy stood up. "I should get going. I have an early start tomorrow." While seeing Amy off at the door, Melissa gently kissed Lily's cheek. "Let's see each other again soon." As the door closed, Melissa sighed. Her relationship with her sister was complicated, a mix of competitiveness and affection, jealousy and protectiveness. But since Lily's birth, she felt their relationship had improved somewhat. "Brian, are you traveling again next week?" Melissa asked as she got into bed. "Yes, 3 days in Chicago. We have meetings for a big project," Brian answered, his eyes still on the book by his bedside. Melissa felt a little loneliness but murmured, "Can't be helped." Friday evening, while Melissa was preparing dinner, she was startled by a sudden doorbell. Opening the door, she found Amy standing there, pulling a travel suitcase and with Lily's diaper bag over her shoulder. Lily was sleeping in her arms. "Surprise," Amy said brightly. "I have a favor to ask." Melissa, confused, invited her sister and niece inside. Sitting in the living room with Lily in her arms, Amy began to explain. "This is sudden, but could you watch Lily for about a week?" "What? Why so suddenly?" Melissa asked in surprise. I have a big job opportunity in Chicago. It's a client my friend introduced me to, and I need to meet them in person, Amy explained eagerly. I'd usually ask Mom, but Dad and Mom are on that fishing tour this week, remember? Melissa remembered that her parents were planning to go on a fishing tour for the weekend. Confused by Amy's sudden request but unable to find a reason to refuse as she looked at her small niece. But I've never taken care of a baby before. Don't worry. Lily is really easy to care for. Making her formula is simple, and you'll get used to changing diapers after doing it once or twice, Amy said cheerfully. Besides, your husband is kind, so he'll help you, right? After some hesitation, Melissa agreed. All right. Amy looked relieved and immediately began explaining Lily's routines in detail, the amount and frequency of formula, her favorite stuffed animal, bedtime, and more. It was almost too much information to note down. Thank you so much. Just 1 week. Thank you. Amy kissed Melissa's cheek. Just 1 week, I promise. Thanks. With that, she walked briskly to the door. She kissed Lily's cheek one last time and whispered, "Mommy will be back soon." Then she pulled her travel bag and left confidently. Melissa held Lily, staring at the closed door. Her mind hadn't caught up with these sudden events. Just then, her smartphone rang. It was a message from Brian. Unexpected business trip. Can't come back this weekend. Should be back Monday or Tuesday. Sorry. Melissa sighed. The worst timing, she muttered, looking at the still sleeping Lily. She felt anxiety rising at the thought of taking care of a baby alone for the next few days. The next morning, Melissa woke to the sound of a crying baby. Looking at the clock, it was only 6 a.m. She hurried to Lily, changed her diaper, and prepared formula. After finishing her milk, Lily made a satisfied burp on Melissa's shoulder. I did it pretty well, Melissa praised herself as she made coffee in the kitchen. Taking a breather, she called her best friend, Sophia Moreno. Sophia had 2 children and was an expert in childcare. Amy left Lily with you. That's so like her, Sophia laughed in surprise. Don't worry, I'll come right over. I'll teach you the basics. An hour later, Sophia appeared and demonstrated how to change diapers, the proper temperature for formula, and ways to soothe a baby. Lily seemed comfortable with Sophia and laughed a lot. That's just like Amy. Always thinking of herself, Sophia said while drinking coffee. But this child is adorable. It'll be a good experience for you too. Those words gave Melissa mixed feelings. She wanted children too. But Brian always said, a little later. After Sophia left, Melissa called the library and took time off until next week. Her boss was understanding, saying, family comes first. On Sunday, Melissa took Lily to the supermarket. Pushing a stroller while shopping was more difficult than she expected, but she managed. While waiting at the checkout, an elderly lady behind her spoke up. What a lovely baby. She has beautiful eyes, just like her mother. Melissa hesitated a bit but explained, thank you, but she's not my child, she's my sister's. The elderly woman looked a bit surprised but quickly smiled and said, what a wonderful aunt you are. That evening, Melissa tried calling her parents but only reached their voicemail. We are on a fishing tour this week and cannot be reached. Please leave a message, in her father's voice. She also tried Amy's cell phone but got only a message saying, the customer you are trying to reach is either out of range or powered off. Growing a bit anxious, Melissa was nonetheless fully occupied with caring for Lily. She bathed her, changed her into pajamas, gave her formula, and Lily fell asleep in Melissa's arms. Melissa sat in a gently rocking chair, holding the small life. You really are adorable, Melissa found herself saying aloud. After just 2 days, she was beginning to feel strongly attached to Lily. Looking at the sleeping baby, her desire to become a mother intensified. On the third morning, as Melissa was having breakfast while holding Lily, she received a brief message from Brian. Meetings running long. Will take a few more days. Are you okay? Melissa replied, I'm fine. I'm looking after Lily. Amy went away for work. There was no response from Brian. That night, after putting Lily to bed, Melissa stood by the window with a glass of wine. Looking up at the starry sky, she began to reflect on her life, her relationship with her husband, having children, and the nature of family. Taking care of Lily had awakened something dormant within her. Could I be a mother too? Melissa whispered quietly. On the morning of the 4th day since Amy's departure, Melissa was in a deep sleep. Lily had woken up several times during the night, and it had taken time to soothe her, so Melissa had only fallen asleep in the early morning. Suddenly, a shrill phone ring broke the silence. Looking at the bedside clock through sleepy eyes, it was 7:15 a.m. Wondering who would call at such an early hour, Melissa reached for the phone. Hello, Johnson Residence. Is this Melissa Johnson? This is Boston General Hospital. Melissa became fully alert at the calm but tense female voice. Yes, that's me. We're contacting you as the sister of Amy Clark. Ms. Clark was in a traffic accident last night and is currently being treated in the ICU. Her condition is critical. Melissa caught her breath. Amy, in an accident? Yes. We've received reports that her car collided with a guardrail on the highway. Your husband, Brian Johnson, and your parents, George and Eleanor Clark, were also in the car. The nurse's words echoed in Melissa's head. Brian, her parents, together with Amy. She couldn't believe her ears. But my husband is supposed to be on a business trip. The words escaped her lips naturally. There was a moment of silence on the other end of the line. I'm sorry, but I don't have those details. Could you please come to the hospital as soon as possible? I'll be right there. Melissa put down the phone in a daze. Her mind was in turmoil. Her husband was supposed to be on a business trip. Her parents were supposed to be on a fishing tour, and Amy was supposed to be working in Chicago. So why were they all in the same car? Lily's cries came from the next room. Melissa automatically got up and headed to Lily's room. It's okay, I'm here. As she picked up Lily, Melissa tried to calm herself. She needed to organize the situation. First, she would take care of Lily and then go to the hospital. She quickly fed Lily, changed her, and then called Sophia. After briefly explaining the situation, Sophia immediately offered to help. I'll be there in 30 minutes. Get ready by then. While waiting for Sophia to arrive, Melissa moved mechanically. She prepared Lily's bag, changed her own clothes, and confirmed the hospital's location. Various questions swirled in her mind. Why had Brian lied about the business trip? Why were her parents with Amy and Brian? What were they doing together? When Sophia arrived and took charge of Lily, Melissa headed to the hospital. While driving, she imagined the worst scenarios in her head. Arriving at Boston General Hospital, Melissa gave her family's names at the reception. Soon, a middle-aged doctor in a white coat appeared. Ms. Johnson, I'm Dr. Marcus Cohen. I'm in charge of your family's care. The doctor's expression was grave as he held a medical chart. Let me explain everyone's condition. First, your parents are relatively lightly injured. George has fractured 2 ribs, and Eleanor has a mild concussion and a broken left arm. Your husband, Brian, has a complex fracture in his right leg, but the surgery was successful. Melissa felt slight relief, but from the doctor's expression, she could tell the worst news was yet to come. As for your sister, Amy. The doctor took a deep breath. She is the most severely injured. There is damage to her brain and internal bleeding. We are preparing for emergency surgery now, but her condition is extremely critical. Melissa was speechless. Her mind went blank, and she felt unsteady. The doctor supported her arm and helped her sit down in a nearby chair. We're doing everything we can. All we can do now is pray. The doctor's words were barely audible. Melissa took a deep breath, trying to calm herself. Can I see my family? She finally managed to say. Yes, of course. Let me first take you to your parents' room. Melissa followed the doctor to her parents' room. Questions were swirling in her head, but right now, confirming her family's safety was the priority. Opening the door to the hospital room, she saw her parents lying in adjacent beds. Her father George's chest was wrapped in bandages, and her mother Eleanor's left arm was in a cast. When they both saw Melissa, they clearly looked distressed. Melissa. Her mother called out weakly. What happened? Melissa couldn't contain her emotions, her voice trembling. Why were you with Brian? Why with Amy? Weren't you on a fishing tour? Her parents exchanged glances and hesitated to answer. We have some explaining to do, but now. As her mother began to speak, the doctor rushed into the room. Amy's condition has deteriorated. We're moving her to the operating room immediately. Forgetting herself at the doctor's words, Melissa rushed out of the room. She ran down the hallway toward the ICU. Nurses were hurriedly moving Amy's bed toward the operating room. Melissa ran to the bed. Amy. Amy was wearing an oxygen mask, her face pale, connected to numerous tubes and machines. Hearing Melissa's voice, she slightly opened her eyes. Melissa took her sister's hand. It's okay, I'm here with you. Amy weakly opened her eyes and whispered, I'm sorry, it's all my fault. Her voice was so faint that each word was difficult to make out. At that moment, Brian appeared from the far end of the corridor, being pushed in a wheelchair by a nurse. He froze when he saw Melissa, the color draining from his face. Melissa. He strained to speak. I can explain. Amy opened her eyes again and gripped Melissa's hand. Lily is Brian's child, Melissa felt as if time had stopped. Amy's words echoed in her head. Lily was Brian's child. Her sister and husband's child. And her parents knew about it too. In that moment, Melissa understood everything. They had all been meeting behind her back. Amy's pregnancy. Lily's birth. Everything had happened right in front of her, yet no one had told her the truth. Melissa's knees weakened. A nurse supported her and helped her sit down. Her mind was in chaos, her heart racing. The betrayal of her beloved husband and sister. Her parents' complicity. All the people she trusted had deceived her. We need to go to the operating room now, said the nurse, pushing Amy's bed. Melissa stood up in a daze and gently touched Amy's cheek. Be strong, she whispered. Even amidst anger and sadness, she couldn't hold only resentment when her sister's life was in danger. After watching Amy's bed disappear into the operating room, Melissa turned to Brian. He sat in the wheelchair, seemingly at a loss for words, staring at Melissa. We'll talk later. Saying only that, Melissa began walking down the hospital corridor. She felt as if her heart was being torn apart. Leaning against a wall, she dialed Sophia's number with trembling hands. The moment she heard Sophia's voice on the phone, Melissa broke down sobbing. Sophia, I can't believe it. Through sobs mixed between her words, Melissa explained the truth, Brian and Amy's betrayal, the shocking fact that Lily's father was actually her husband. Sophia seemed speechless but quickly regained her composure. "I'll come right away. With Lily. I can't leave you alone." "Thank you, but," Melissa took a deep breath and continued, "I'll protect Lily. She's innocent in all this." After hanging up, a nurse approached. "Dr. Marcus would like to speak with you." Melissa was guided to the ICU waiting room. Seeing the doctor's grave expression, she prepared for the worst. "Ms. Johnson, Amy's condition is extremely critical. The surgery is complicated, and I cannot guarantee success. I want the family to be aware of this." Melissa nodded. Amidst the conflicting emotions of anger and sadness, she made a decision. "I'll stay by my sister's side." Time seemed to melt away. Sophia arrived at the hospital with Lily and embraced Melissa. "Whatever decision you make, I'm with you." Melissa held Lily in her arms and kissed her small cheek. It was hard to believe that this innocent child was at the center of her life's collapse. "I'll take care of her," Melissa renewed her resolve. "She's innocent in all this." Several hours later, Brian appeared in the waiting room in a wheelchair. His eyes were red and swollen. "Melissa, please let me talk to you." Melissa gave him a cold look. "What is there to talk about?" "I want to explain everything. From the beginning," Brian said, his voice trembling. 3 years ago, when you were away on a trip, Amy and we were drunk. It was supposed to be just once. But then she got pregnant." "That's enough," Melissa raised her hand to stop him. "I don't want to hear it now. My mind is full with Amy." At that moment, her parents appeared from their room in wheelchairs. Her father, George, couldn't meet her eyes, and her mother, Eleanor, was crying. "Melissa, You knew too. You all deceived me." Melissa's voice was cold. "I don't want to hear anything now. I'll think about it after Amy returns from surgery." As the night deepened, Melissa spent time in the hospital chapel. Though she couldn't find words to pray, she tried to calm her mind in the silence. There she met David Fisher, who said he worked at the hospital's legal counseling office. "Are you all right alone?" he asked in a gentle voice. Melissa briefly explained her situation. David carefully chose his words and said, "Whatever choice you make, you might need legal support. If there's anything I can do to help," and handed her his card. Past midnight, she was informed that Amy's surgery was complete. The surgery itself was successful, but the next 48 hours are critical, the doctor explained. When Melissa faced Amy in the ICU, she wept at the sight of her sister surrounded by tubes and machines. Her face was pale, as if the breath of life was fading away. "Amy, it's me. Can you hear me?" Melissa gripped her sister's cold hand. "Be strong. For Lily." Feeling a weak squeeze in return, Amy slightly opened her eyes. She didn't have the strength to speak, but her lips moved. Melissa leaned in to listen. "Ly, please. Don't worry. I'll take care of her," Melissa promised. A tear rolled down Amy's eye. She moved her lips once more. To Melissa, it looked like she said, "Sorry, love you." That night, Melissa slept in the hospital's family room, holding Lily. When she woke in the morning, the hallway was filled with an unusual tension. Then the doctor approached with heavy steps. "Miss Johnson, I'm sorry, Amy deteriorated during the night. There was nothing more we could do." Melissa's world collapsed. Her anger and sadness toward her sister, and the still unresolved conflicts, everything felt suspended. The next day, she contacted David. "I need legal advice." Weeks passed, and Melissa's life had completely changed. She had initiated divorce proceedings with Brian and was also proceeding with the legal steps to become Lily's guardian. David had become her staunch ally, providing not only legal assistance but also emotional support. Brian might not give up custody of Lily easily, David warned. Contrary to Melissa's expectations, however, Brian initially resisted but eventually agreed. "I don't have the confidence to raise her." "You would be a much better parent," he admitted. Melissa's relationship with her parents was also complex. Initially, she rejected them, but as time passed, she began to accept their heartfelt apologies. "We made a terrible mistake," her father acknowledged tearfully. "We never meant to hurt you. We were just afraid of the family falling apart." "I don't know if I can truly forgive you," Melissa honestly answered. "But Lily needs her grandparents. Let's take time to build a new relationship." 3 months after Amy's funeral, Melissa returned to her job at the library. Her colleagues knew her situation and warmly supported her. Melissa found childcare facilities for Lily and established a rhythm for their new life. Her relationship with David also deepened. What started as a lawyer-client relationship blossomed into friendship and then something special. He treated Lily kindly and respected Melissa's new life. "There's no need to rush," David said. "You and me, and Lily. We can take our time getting to know each other." One evening, after putting Lily to bed, Melissa stood by the window gazing at Boston's night view. David quietly stood beside her. "What are you thinking about?" "About family," Melissa answered. "I always thought family was about blood ties. But that's not it. Family is created through choice and love." David took her hand. "That's right." Melissa smiled. Her life had taken a direction she never imagined. She had experienced betrayal and sadness, but overcoming them, she was now finding a new form of family. Lily had taught her unconditional love and the joy of motherhood. "We'll be all right," Melissa said quietly, gazing toward Lily's bedroom. "From now on, we'll create our own story." On a Saturday morning when spring sunlight gently enveloped the streets of Boston, Melissa was making pancakes in the kitchen while watching Lily and David playing in the garden through the window. "Mom, look!" Lily's voice, now 6 years old, rang from the garden. She was sitting on David's shoulders, reaching for a high branch. Her smile was as bright as the sun, warming Melissa's heart. 5 years had passed, and the wounds had gradually healed. Melissa and David had married 2 years ago, forming a new family, raising Lily together. David loved Lily as if she were his own daughter, and Lily adored him, calling him Papa. A photo of Lily's Sky Mommy was displayed on the dining table. Melissa cherished Amy's memory and told Lily about what a brave and creative woman she had been. Hatred and anger had, with time, transformed into understanding and acceptance. They now shared lunch with her parents once a month on Sundays. At first, these were awkward, painful reunions, but Lily's presence served as a bridge, gradually mending their relationship. Especially Melissa's mother, Eleanor, happily fulfilled her role as a grandmother, teaching Lily cooking and planting flowers together in the garden. "Breakfast is ready," Melissa called out, and Lily came running in like the wind. "Mom, we're going to the park with Dad and Grandpa and Grandma today, right?" Lily asked, her eyes shining. "That's right. We're having a picnic together," Melissa answered, stroking her daughter's head. After breakfast, the phone rang. It was from Brian. He had since moved to another state and rarely showed his face. He never failed to pay child support but hardly fulfilled his role as a father. "Melissa, it's been a while," his voice hesitated. "I'd like to see Lily. Would that be possible?" For a moment, Melissa felt a constricting sensation in her chest, but David placed his hand on her shoulder and smiled gently. "I'll think about it." But if I believe it would be good for Lily, she answered calmly. It's possible with certain conditions. After hanging up, Melissa turned to David. Am I doing the right thing? You're a wonderful mother, David embraced her. You always think about what's best for Lily. That evening, Melissa picked up a book in her study. What Makes a Real Family, A Story of Choice and Love. The book chronicling her experiences had become a support for many people struggling in similar situations. Standing by the window, watching Lily and David playing in the garden, Melissa thought. Family isn't something given, it's something you build. And sometimes, those who inflict the deepest wounds also teach us the strongest love. The pain of the past never completely disappeared, but she now understood that it had strengthened her and taught her to love more deeply. Melissa's story, overcoming betrayal and sadness to find a new form of family, concluded here. But her life story walking alongside Lily had only just begun.